Hi, this is Sam and welcome to Logic. Today we have a vocabulary lesson on a very popular topic because whether we like it or not, Valentine's Day is upon us, and I know this is an extremely divisive topic because on the one hand we have those that like it and see it as a great chance to celebrate love and shout it from the rooftops. On the other hand, however, more and more people seem to want to distance themselves from it and boycott it even because they see it as a mere pointless commercial stunt, and they claim that they don't need one specific day in the year to celebrate their love. Regardless of which side you're on, and do let me know in the comments after you've liked this video and subscribed. As always, we're going to use Valentine's Day as a pretext to learn a couple of interesting words. Then I will also share a couple of funny stories from my tragic love life, and I should probably do a full podcast episode just on that because I have stories to dine out on for months on end. Let's start with some good old gender inequality, unfortunately, with the word spinster, spelled S-P-I-N-S-T-E-R, for those of you listening to this. And this is a derogatory term that refers to an unmarried woman past her prime and therefore unlikely to marry in the future. It's a very old-fashioned term, and in the past, surely it was offensive and shameful because, as we all know, in the past it was believed it was a woman's purpose to get married and have children, and that usually happened in a woman's prime, so the best and youngest years of a person. And if that didn't happen, and the longer a woman waited and the older she got, the less likely it was that it would happen, or at least that's what people believed. I'm sure it was seen as a sign of shame. I'm sure not being married created an aura of skepticism and suspicion around the woman. People must have thought, why doesn't any man want to marry her? How crazy and weird is she? However, nowadays we use it quite often actually, but in a more light-hearted and humorous way. We basically use it as a joke, and primarily it's women themselves or gay men who say that about themselves. So a woman will say, I don't want to be a spinster forever. Or, if all my relationships end the way they always do, I'll end up being a spinster. Or you would have two girlfriends saying to each other, when we get old, we'll be two spinsters watching TV and playing cards together every day. You can say it to friends or about other people, but it's mainly used as a funny joke. It's completely lost its negative and offensive connotation. It is not a word that would hurt a woman's pride and identity anymore. A similar term is cat lady, a woman who has and loves a lot of cats, and it's usually associated with the idea that she has so many of them because she doesn't have a husband, almost as if she were making up for the lack of a partner by having so many cats. The reason why I introduced spinster as an example of gender inequality is that in English we do not have a male counterpart for this term, or rather we do have the word bachelor that describes a man who is not married and who probably won't get married anytime soon, but it's a neutral term. It doesn't have any kind of negative connotation, and that's exactly where the inequality is. In English we do not have a derogatory or offensive term to describe a man who's not married. On a more positive note, the next word is the adjective smitten, spelled S-M-I-T-T-E-N, and you are smitten by or with someone or something, and this adjective does not go before a noun, and the definition is that you are overcome by an overwhelmingly strong feeling of love for someone or something. Most dictionaries say it's always a very sudden feeling. You can say as soon as they met, he was completely smitten on its own, or smitten by her, or smitten with her. Now, this is true and it is possible. It's basically love at first sight, sort of like Disney kind of love. So he saw her and he fell in love immediately. But we also use it for long-term and long-lasting situations. You can say that after all these years, you can still tell that she's completely smitten with him, by him. It's something we often say when people first start dating. Imagine your friend has been on a couple of dates with someone they like. So you can look at them and say, oh, look at you, all smitten. The next word is the very common adjective cheesy, spelled C-H-E-E-S-Y. The first and primary definition is with a lot of cheese. A cheesy toast is a toast that has a lot of cheese in or on it. In a more figurative way, most dictionaries give this first definition, which is something of poor quality and cheap. So you can say a cheesy hotel, which refers to an old, rickety hotel. But I have to say, I don't think we would really say a cheesy hotel, because the main definition and meaning of this word that we use in everyday English is to refer to something overly romantic, overly emotional, overly sentimental, overly dramatic. A cheesy rom-com is a film with a lot of stereotypically pathetic love things that people do to each other. We know exactly that by the end of the film, the two main characters will get together, and during the film, they do these little things that are very typical, very stereotypical, very obvious. And that could mean that the quality of the film becomes poor because it's a very obvious and not very deep and important film. But I still think that we mainly focus on the romance aspect of the term cheesy when we say a cheesy rom-com. You can say cheesy chat-up lines, and I've looked up a couple of them for this video, and one of them would be, "Are you sure you're not tired? Because you've been running through my mind all day." Now, this is considered cheesy because it's full of ridiculous love and romance, and it's so cheesy that it either makes you laugh because it's so ridiculous, or it makes you want to throw up. A cheesy ballad is a love song that is so full of ridiculous love that you find it laughable. Cheesy also refers to those couples that are very touchy-feely, very loved up. They always kiss, they always hold each other's hands in public, they always make those little funny love jokes between them, and that is wonderful for them, but for us watching, we just want to throw up, so we would say they are very cheesy together. The next word is the informal adjective spelled SCHMALTZY, pronounced either schmaltzy or schmaltzy. I have to be completely honest, while I was looking up this word to put it into this video, I realized that dictionaries give you both pronunciations, mainly actually schmaltzy with a long O. But because I read and heard so many different variations, at the moment I don't exactly know which one I tend to say anymore. I think I say schmaltzy, mainly with a long O, but if you watch videos with this word in it, you will mainly hear schmaltzy. But so again, I don't really know how I tend to pronounce it, so we'll go with the flow, but both options are correct. Schmaltzy means excessively sentimental and emotional in a way that you may find silly and not serious. It's basically cheesy, but on the next level, so cheesier than cheesy. You can have a schmaltzy soap opera. I mean, all soap operas are schmaltzy because they have all sorts of drama revolving around all sorts of very weird love situations. A schmaltzy song, a schmaltzy text that you may receive from a suitor who really wants to woo you and to charm you. In a sentence, you could say that the film was so unrealistically schmaltzy that I couldn't relate to it and I went off it halfway through. Excessive sentiment and emotion as a noun is schmaltz. Next up, we have the verb to swoon, spelled S-W-O-O-N, which means to be overcome by an uncontrollable and strong feeling of love, admiration, excitement, and happiness and pleasure. You can say things like, your dinner guests will swoon when they see how beautiful and elaborate this dish is. That is possible. So they will be overcome by such a strong feeling of excitement and admiration for how amazing the dish is. But primarily, we use this term to refer to admiration and love for someone. You can say that during Brad Pitt's interview, you could clearly tell that all the girls were swooning or swooning over him. That means that you could tell that they all loved him, they all lost control, they were, blushing, giggling, because they really, really liked him and fancied him. Or you can say that the busker looked right into my eyes when he was singing and he made me swoon. That means that you found the busker well attractive and also very charming because of the way he was singing to you. So, you got a bit flustered because you were a little bit almost in love with him for a split second. Talking about relationships, you do want to be with someone that makes you swoon in a positive way because you are completely smitten by them and they make you feel special and they treat you well in a nice and genuine way. Not because they play games with you and they bamboozle you by saying all the right things that you want to hear, or because they sweet talk you, which is our next word. To sweet talk someone into doing something means to persuade someone to do what you want by praising them, flattering them, and making them feel special. You can say that she always manages to sweet talk me into helping her, even though I know that I shouldn't. Or you can say that I somehow managed to sweet talk my way out of this mess. So you made a mistake, but you managed to sort of charm the other person into forgiving you, basically. The last expression of the day is to go weak at the knees, which means to be overcome by such strong emotions that you almost fall over because you lose control over your body. And we mainly use it to refer to love and the fact that you really like someone. You can say, I really fancy my professor, so every time he asks me a question in class, I go weak at the knees, meaning that you fancy him so much that any kind of interaction with him makes you lose control. You don't understand anything. He just needs to look at you and you're done. Or if you really like his smile, you can say, the way he smiles makes me go weak at the knees. Now, both to go weak at the knees and to swoon are mainly used about women and how they react to love situations. I can absolutely picture a girl telling her girlfriends that when she met this guy, the way he smiled made her go weak at the knees, or the way he talked to her made her swoon. But I can't really picture a situation where a man would say that about a girl. Not because men can't feel strong emotions, but it's just something that men wouldn't really say. Earlier I said I was going to tell you a couple of funny stories from my tragic love life. Now, this has no language value. I'm not going to teach you any specific words. I just thought I might put a smile on your faces with this. Now, these two stories revolve around two German guys because I love German, I love Germans, and I do have a soft spot for them, and they do make me go weak at the knees. So I live in London, which means there are a lot of tourists, so most people that are here are not here to stay. And I met this one German guy before COVID, and I met him in a club and I made the first move, which I was very proud of because although I'm a YouTuber and I'm a performer, I am really shy when it comes to approaching guys. But I liked him so much. I liked the way he danced and all of that, so that I made the first move. I was very proud of myself, and then it turned out I was only visiting. And he is a dancer, choreographer, so we have that in common. And he was only there for 3 days, well, here for 3 days. So we went on 3 dates. I mean, that's the best we could do. And I am a crier. I cry a lot. So the funny thing about having to say goodbye to him was that we went for dinner the last night, and then we went to the tube station to say goodbye. Now, that is a central tube station that we went to, but at that time it was completely empty, which was great, so I could cry as much as I wanted to without feeling watched. So I started crying as always, and what made it funny, I mean now, but not at the time, was that there used to be a piano inside the station, not anymore after COVID, I think, but there used to be a piano, and anyone who plays the piano could go there and play a few songs if they wanted to. So I was basically nose to nose with this guy, because we were looking into each other's eyes, and I was already crying, and this random guy, the only person that was at the station at the time, decided to sit down and start playing Someone Like You by Adele, which made me cry even more. And I was literally sobbing my eyes out, and to the point where I had so many tears in my eyes that I couldn't see the guy anymore. So the guy was literally in front of me, but I had such a thick film of tears in my eyes that I couldn't see him. So there you go. That's a prime example of when we can use the words cheesy and schmaltzy, because that was absolutely all of that. The second not so funny story is more about a missed opportunity that I will always regret for the rest of my life. It's about another German guy who was only visiting, and I knew that because I found him on one of the dating apps, and he did say that he was only visiting, so I knew what I was getting myself into. We chatted a lot over text, and then we managed to meet one afternoon in a park, I think, because then I had to go and get ready for one of my performances. So it was only an afternoon thing. We spent a couple of hours together in St. James's Park in central London, and it was really, really good. We really hit it off, and I felt a good connection. Obviously, I was a little bit gutted because I knew that he had to leave at some point, but it was really, really nice, and I really did want to kiss him. So while we were talking, I did sort of, touch him a little bit, like on the arm, on his leg, because I'm terrible at flirting, but I did want him to sort of see that I was interested and I wasn't repulsed by him. So that's the best that I could do. And the, again, not so funny part was that when we were walking to the station to then say goodbye, he said something about his breath. I think he said something like, I hope my breath doesn't smell because I ate onions earlier. And I made a joke, the joke that ruined everything, because I said, well, good job, I'm not going to kiss you anyway. Now, for me, that was obviously a joke, because if I really did not want to kiss someone, I wouldn't really tell them to their face like that. I am brutally honest, but also I like to think that I have a little bit of tact, so I would not have said that to his face. But he really took it to heart. So when we got to the station, I was ready to lean in for a kiss. And also, mind you, this guy is almost twice as tall as me. So because he had that thought in his mind about me not wanting to kiss him, he literally just bent in half to give me a very awkward hug. So he didn't aim for my cheeks or my lips. And I was very disappointed. So when I left, I texted him saying, well, I have nothing to lose, so I'm going to tell you that I was actually hoping for a kiss. And he said that he wanted to kiss me too, but because I told him that I wasn't going to kiss him, I wasn't planning to kiss him, he didn't want to try it because he knew that I'd basically rejected him. And then we had a long conversation about the fact that that was just a joke. So yes, that's basically the extent of my love life. One of the very few chances that I had to even kiss a guy, I blew it because I made a joke that didn't quite land the way it should have. So there you go. So I hope this puts a smile on your face when you think about your dating life, and let me know in the comments if you have any weird stories. I have much weirder stories than this one, so I could tell you all about them maybe in another episode if you want to. And with that in mind, yes, let me know if you have any questions about the vocabulary that we've analysed and which side of the Valentine's feud you're on, if you like Valentine's Day or if you don't like it. And in the meantime, I will see you next Tuesday with another video.